So the boy wonders about this, and this strange dream with this pale-faced man saying that, "Oh, I have sinned, oh, forgive me." This is then later connected to Father Flynn as this imagined face in his dream. The following day, the boy visits the house, and but he doesn't knock, he doesn't go in, he just sees that he has died, and he feels this sense of not being very sad about the death of Father Flynn. This is his epiphany. "I found it strange," the narrator says, because it's narrated by the boy, "that neither I nor the day seemed in a mourning mood. And I felt even annoyed at discovering in myself a sensation of freedom, as if I had been freed from something by his death." So Father Flynn was paralyzing this boy. He was teaching him about Catholicism and sort of not letting him be his own self. Father Flynn sort of is the motive of paralyzation, both that the Catholic Church was paralyzed, because in another story, the Grace is about this man whose friends try to get him to be more Catholic, and they tell him all these things about Catholicism which aren't exactly correct. And then at the end they go to the church where the priest talks from the Bible, but he doesn't exactly say what's in the Bible. He has to dumb down, sort of make it more simpler what's in the Bible, because he thinks that the people can't understand it. So back to the sisters, Father Flynn is the symbol of the Catholic Church being in this paralyzed state. Yes, he dies in a stroke, which is the very first sentence of the story, that Father Flynn died in a stroke, which is these blood cells sort of get together and stop the blood from flowing, and then this leads to paralyzation, and that can lead to death. So paralysis leads to death. So the Catholic Church is paralyzed, and it paralyzes the people. Corruption. Father Flynn was accused of being corrupt, involved in some scandal where he sold these simony cards. So he was a simoniac. He was a corrupt priest. And death. This is freeing both characters. Father Flynn was freed from this corrupt state of life, this miserable life that he himself didn't like. And the boy was freed because the Catholic Church's paralyzation didn't have any more effect on him. Okay, so this is the sisters. As you can see, all these three motives, not these motives, but these symbols, these themes follow through in the whole story. In every 15 stories, you can see these three themes evolving in these three stories. Evelyn is about a 19-year-old girl whose father is a drunk, and his brother died, and her brother died, and her mother died also. But her mother made her promise to keep the family together. But his father is very abusive, and so she thinks of running away. She wants to flee this whole place. And she meets this sailor who lives in Argentina, and they could go away together. But in the end, she doesn't go away because she's paralyzed. She's paralyzed by her family, by the Irish man in the house, the father who's sort of stuck in this drunken state of always repetitively doing the same thing. Okay, and so she stays because of wanting to keep the family together. So that's Evelyn. And you have the theme of paralysis, that the Ireland and Dublin is paralyzing the family, the father, because of the father not being able to achieve much in life, and he's sort of giving now his stress on his family. The girl, this 19-year-old girl, is paralyzed by not being able to flee Ireland, and you have corruption with his with the whole sense of father being corrupt and the whole thing being corrupt that can't leave. Another story is Counterpart. It's about a grown man who works as a sort of like the chinovnik in Russia. He's a sort of copies these things for a law firm, and his boss is very evil with him. He humiliates the man, and then he gets drunk at work. He goes out after work, he doesn't have any money, and he sells his watch just to get drunk, but he doesn't even get drunk, so it's very bad, and then he goes home and he beats his son. So this is a realization of the man being sort of corrupted by his society, his surroundings, and then he spreads this corruption to his son, his family, by beating them, and sort of, because I get corrupted, I have to corrupt others. So to give down stress, or any way you want to see it. Then Joyce's favorite was Ivy Day in the Committee Room, which is about a bunch of politicians, Irish politicians, talking in a room. It's played in one room, the whole story is in one room. And the interesting thing is that these politicians say that they're for independence, they want to free Ireland, but they don't really do anything. They're just stuck. They don't even really care. They just do it for the money. They're not very enthusiastic about freeing the nation. And they talk about Parnell because Ivy Day is the anniversary of Parnell's death, this great man that I was talking about previously. And so Joyce shows how the Irish politics are sort of paralyzed by these politicians that sort of obey the English, don't really do anything to fight. Parnell was our only hope, and he's lost now, and even the people hate him for being in this scandal, for sleeping with another woman. Actually, it's very interesting how he uses these very minor symbols in Counterparts, which I was talking about, this man who wants to get drunk and then he goes home to his son and his family. Joyce writes that the man was at work in this law firm, and every other character has non-Irish names, English names. You wouldn't give any notice to this, it's just names, but if you look at it closely, it's all English names. Then he writes that a woman sort of bumped into him and said pardon in an English accent, which you would say that, okay, it was an English accent, she was English probably, but then he goes home and he goes by a barrack, like where English soldiers are stationed. So it sort of shows how he tries to show through these very small symbols, like fragments of a sentence, how everything is surrounded in Ireland by the English, and how they're occupying the whole country and not letting it evolve. Then The Dead is his most famous work from Dubliners. It's about Gabriel Conroy, and they're celebrating at Christmas time, at the day of Epiphany. He and his wife, Gabriel and his wife, go to this party which his aunt throws every year. And Gabriel is he's Irish, but he tries to be an Englishman. He went to Trinity College, learned English literature. He writes for newspapers, publishing anti-nationalistic, sort of imperialist, ideologically connected works. So this man, he tries to be more continental, and so this Joyce shows through this man how every Irish middle-class person is sort of not giving any notice to his fellow Irishman. He's sort of stuck in, oh, we have to live up to the English, we have to lick their toes and so all that. And why it's called Dead is because this man, Gabriel, has a wife, and they're going home after the party, and she seems distant because she heard a song at the party which somebody was playing, and then he thinks that, oh, it must be about our marriage, because who else could be in the middle of her spectrum, in the middle of her thoughts but me, her husband. And then it turns out that she was thinking about another man who died for her in her early years. And this is his epiphany that that she wasn't thinking about him, she wasn't thinking about the marriage, she was thinking about someone else. And he feels alone and mortal, but spiritually he sort of starts to get in contact with the others around him. So he sees this story of his wife, and he sort of feels empathy. Okay, the end of the story is that Ireland is covered by snow, which symbolizes that it's frozen, stuck, and the first sentence of the Dubliners is that a stroke, so it's paralyzed, and the last is that it's covered by snow, that it's paralyzed. So this is the Dubliners, and attraction is the theme of today's presentations. Well, I'm hoping that you got some part of it, that he ran away from his country, but still he couldn't write about anything else in his works but Dublin. This sort of love-hate, I hate it, so I ran away, but I'm still obsessed with it, so I still write about it. I call the series Dubliners to betray the soul of that, paralysis, which many consider a city. This is about Dubliners. It's a quote from him, and then he writes that, for myself, I always write about Dublin, because if I can get to the heart of Dublin, I can get to the heart of all the cities in the world. In the particular is contained the universal. So sort of the connection, this sort of attraction between him and Dublin, and how he considers himself a continental man, like a global writer, but still is obsessed with the Dublin. Yes, and yes, that's it. Thank you very much.